Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to continue to talk about the psyche of the evil albanoid. We really need to understand how they tick, how they work. The albanoid community has spent hundreds of years studying Black people. I mean, they know us inside out. They, from, our blood, our DNA, our the things that we like, just even manipulating us based on, things that we like to buy, the foods that we eat. They know who we are, and I think it's really, really important for us to know who they are. Because, like I said, the art of war it's definitely knowing your enemy. If we don't know them and we fall for the same thing over and over and over as Black people, even with interracial dating. If you see these people and you have conversations with them and your relationships with them, and we assume that because someone's pleasant or nice or they're smiling at us or that they will have children with us or they'll marry us, that they're not white supremacists. But the entire time that they're with us, they're upholding white supremacy. So irregardless to the fact that it is damaging for us or it's damaging for their own offsprings with Black people, they totally disregard that, because in the end it's always upholding white supremacy. That is the main goal. It seems to be for every albanoid person, is upholding white supremacy. It doesn't matter if their children are affected negatively. That's not something that really matters. What matters is just keeping the system how it is, upholding white supremacy, perpetuating white supremacy. So I know a lot of people, and I think especially if you go into the South and into the Deep South, it's very segregated. So I was living in Florida, and in Orlando, I was living in Orlando, and it's very segregated. It's either pretty much all white or it's all Black. And the only time that you will go to the Black neighborhood, for me, it's like to go to a hair salon or something like that. And that was because very poor. There's no money in those areas, but also you're not around white people, and so not being around them, it's easy to build this fantasy that they're nice, or if they're not, all of them are racist and not all of them are white supremacists. And when you study them, and if you have opportunities to see them just around white people, and you'll see that the conversation is different. They're very racist. The jokes change. Everything is more geared toward a white supremacist attitude. We need to know what their fears are, what their likes are, what makes them tick. And I think doing that, learning about them and their fears and their joys, and a big part is their fears, learning what their fears are. And when we do that, you'll realize how weak they are, and how weak-minded they are, and how easily manipulated they are. And it will also, as a Black person, it will empower you. because then you realize that they're not stronger or smarter by no means. The only thing that they are more evil, and you know, they lack that morale that we have, and they lack that humanity, and you know, to the point where we can decipher wrong and right, and not get thrills out of killing people and torturing people. And we can study, you know, them now and then them, you know, hundreds of years ago, and you'll realize that they're the same, still the same people, same mentality, same attitude. And you'll see, you know, the global, them for the global terrorists that they are. And I can't say that enough, because we really need to start reprogramming our brains to realize that white supremacy equals global terrorism, so that you're not thinking of it, seeing it as, oh, you know, well, white people aren't supreme, so why are, you know, their minds are delusional. Yes, their minds are delusional, but when I talk about white supremacy, I talk about it more of an action. It's something that you do, something that you uphold. And I've said also that you don't have to be white to be a white supremacist. There are many black white supremacists. Asians are some of the biggest white supremacists ever that I've ever come across. And so being a white supremacist has nothing to do really with them being white as an individual. It has something to do with the system, their actions, and their actions is terrorism. That it really is. So when white supremacist terrorism is this mindset, these actions, these group of individuals that go through widespread around the entire world, committing heinous and atrocious acts of genocide and of child molestation, of, you know, murder, of any bad thing that you can think of, you can trace it back to these albanoid individuals. And that is not an exaggeration. I tell you, because I've done it. I've looked at you know, evil things and atrocities that has happened throughout history, and they all trail right back to the albanoid. And so we really have to change our mindset and to realize that these are global terrorists, and that they need to be stopped, and that it is partially our responsibility to stop them. And I'll tell you why. We have allowed them to continue to be global terrorists. We've allowed that. And it is by no means our fault. We are definitely victims of their terrorism in every form of fashion. But we do have, for me, I have the responsibility to my child and to the next generation that is coming after us, to do my part to end white supremacist terrorism, because it needs to stop. If it doesn't, you know, with this global terrorism and the poisoning of the skies and the ocean and the food, and they're still doing mass genocide as of today. They still do domestic slavery. They still do poisoning of people and our food and our water, and, you know, killing the animals. They're killing the bees. The global terrorism is seriously killing the entire earth and all the people in it. And so I think us as living organisms of the earth, it's our job to protect the earth and to do that, we have to combat white supremacy. We need to just bring it to a halt and a stop, and maybe the world will be able to reverse some of the damage. I know the world will be able to reverse the damage. It continuously is reversing their damage, but with the earth working to get rid of them, and we need to do our part to get rid of them too. It's not about hate. I don't hate white people. I seriously don't. I look at white people, and for the most part, I see a problem that needs to be solved. It really isn't about any hate. You know, I see cute little white babies. Most of them are creepy to me, but I don't have this hate for them, and I don't recommend anyone have hate for them. That's a waste of energy. It really is a waste of energy and mental space. It's a problem that needs to be solved, but that's it. It's not something that we need to really just make ourselves. If you need to, honestly, if that's what you need to do in order to be part of the solution, and if you need to hate them to change your mindset and realize that this is a problem, and that the only way to fight war is with war and not prayer, because by no means do not pray for these people. Stop. If you are praying, please stop. You need to pray that these people are destroyed. That's it. That needs to be your prayer. You know, to whoever you choose to pray with. I pray to the universe every day, and I feel like that's my God. We are all part of this one universe, and we need to give it a nice cleansing. And that's all that is. It's not about hate. It's about knowing who your enemy is. And we didn't choose for them to be our enemies. By no means. We did not choose them to be our enemies. They chose to be our enemies. They continue to choose to be our enemies. And you cannot be friends with someone that is hell-bent on being your enemy. Like, that just doesn't work. You can't force someone that hates you to be your friend and to be your ally. And that's what we've been doing. That's what happened with the integration. I'm sorry, too mixed up those words. That's what happened with the integration. And even now we're trying to force them to be our friends and to be our allies. And they don't want to. They don't have our best interests at heart. They don't want to be our allies. They want to kill us. They want to reproduce our organs and our, all our melanin to use for themselves, but they don't want to be friends with us. They don't like us. They don't have the same souls and the same spirits as we do. And that has been shown, and it's constantly been shown. It's something that they show all the time. So we can try to fool ourselves and say, they're not all evil, that there's good white people. That may be the case, and there are good white people, I'm sure. But the point is, the majority are not good. The majority wants to destroy us. So we don't have the privilege of sitting there and saying, let me figure out which ones are good and let me figure out which ones wants to kill me. And we have this whole big bowl, and do we really want to stick our hand in there and wiggle it around and try to find one that may not want to destroy us? We don't have the privilege of doing that. We don't need to do that anymore. We need to be done with it. And we need to look at these evil albanoids and white supremacy as what it is. It's a diseased system. It's a diseased mindset, and it is ferocious and horrible and terroristic actions that are constantly going on. So we have to change our mindset, and we need to know who we're up against. We keep fooling ourselves, and I know a lot of this religion, it mushes things up in your brain too, to think that we're all the same, and God made everyone. And I truly don't believe that to be true. And even if God didn't make them, then it was a mistake. Oh well, mistakes happen, and we can't say that, oh, God wouldn't make mistakes. That's not for us to say. All we can do is base things on what we know and what we see. I need to drink some water. Sorry. So And that's what an intelligent person does. You're not gonna go outside in pitch dark and put on some sunglasses and just drive, right? Because you're not gonna see anything and you're just blindly out there. So we need to take off those sunglasses and turn on some lights and realize who we're up against, and start acting accordingly. We really need to do that, okay? Again, we're at war, and we need to figure out who we're up against. Why we don't need to know why. I can tell you they're evil. There's no point of digging into their psyche. We do. Digging into their psyche is good. I think it's good for a lot of people to see these videos and to be refreshed and to see what's out there, is kind of to combat the diluted mainstream media, because mainstream media would have you thinking that they're awesome and amazing and fastest and smartest and they're just the best of everything, and that is clearly not even remotely the truth. And so we do need to dig into their psyche more and read books about them and watch videos about them. And if we have opportunities to hear it from them, because who knows them better than them. So I'm going to play this video really quick. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't usually watch the videos before I play them, because I don't need my anxieties to be at a 10 when I'm trying to do a video, because then my brain will shut off and I can't talk and words won't come and it'll just be ugly. So I watched a tiny bit, just enough to see that it's interesting and that it's beneficial. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's 41 minutes, and I'm pretty sure it's owned by MTV, so I don't think they're going to want me to play the whole video. But I will put the address or the link in the description box. Let me grab it right now, because I always forget for some reason to do that. And so I'm going to play parts of it, and we will talk about some of it. And then if you want to go back and watch the whole thing, and which I encourage you to do so. All of these videos, usually if I'm playing parts, I totally encourage you to watch the entire video. The more we watch stuff, the more we learn and the more we take in. So let's see how this works.
It's going to make you want to move away. Any minority group, if they get a scholarship, straight white men feel like something is being taken away from them.
Kind of feels like I'm being discriminated against.
We've never had to internalize what white people have done in America, but here, you can't escape that.
I'm getting uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Hey, this is great. Let's get all uncomfortable together. I'm Jose. Sam, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So we're doing a film for MTV on what it means to be young and white.
Okay. I think we fit the role.
Yes, we're doing a show for MTV on what it means to be young and white.
Okay.
You always get that nervous, scandalous laugh, because when I think of that of being white in America, they, for some reason, they always need to fit themselves into the victim role, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that here, especially like back when she's saying that when a black person get a scholarship, she feels like they're taking something away from her. That's true how they feel. They always talk about with affirmative action, and they always want to say this is reverse racism. So they really do feel like things should be, like schools should be 99.999% white. And if they do see that you filled one place with a black person, then that's a personal attack on them.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We talk about race in this country a lot, but we don't include it in the conversation. It's only us. We talk usually about you, about white people. I'm interested in how you feel. So some background. My name is Jose Antonio Vargas, and I look like this, which you can get, as you can imagine, a little confusing. You know, I look a little more Asian, right? And why is your name Jose? So I was born in the Philippines. The Philippines was colonized by the Spanish, which is how I got my name. I moved here to America.
Which are white people, okay? Because Spanish is not a race. You guys just need to know that, because they throw out all these terms. Everyone throws out these terms. Spanish does not mean white. It is a language. Or I mean, it doesn't mean. It's not a race. It's not like Mexicans or from Mexico. It's strictly a language. And if you look at like if you typed in Spain and looked at the people are white. The people that represent them are white. If you look at a magazine that said, earlier I was looking at a magazine and it said a Latin magazine. And the people on it and the people in it were white with blonde hair. So just when ALBANOID people want to say, oh no, I'm Spanish or I'm a Latino, know that does not mean that they're not white and that they're not indulging in white privilege.
I was 12. I'm an undocumented immigrant, so I'm not even supposed to be here, according to the government. So let me ask people this question. What are you and where are you from?
I mean, I'm white. I'm Caucasian. That is my heritage.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because, you know, white is not a country.
I would just consider myself white American.
When you say white, like what does that mean to you?
White is the default. It's the default race.
It's just the norm. To be white is the good thing.
How would your life be different if you weren't white?
I believe it could be different because it's hard.
I don't necessarily go outside in my group, so I don't know.
Most white Americans do live in kind of a white bubble. The typical white American lives in a town that's more than 3/4 white, and the average white person's group of friends is more than 90% white.
White people usually are raised by white people. They hang out with white people, and so they're completely oblivious to issues of racism that impact non-white people.
They're lying. See, right there is when they say that they're oblivious or they don't know of racism. Huge, fat lie. They know racism exists because they sit in groups and they talk about other races all the time, and they use the N-word as much as they can possibly use it. They know racism exists because they perpetuate racism all the time on a daily basis. When she sat there and said that you know, to be white is the norm, it's good. To them it is. That's the norm, and with you know, mainstream media, it is. To be white is, you would think that when you open, you know, a glamour magazine or something like that, you would think that all the people in America are white, that they're supposed to be white, and that's what they think. In their mind, they should have superior, be treated superior than other races in their mind, and that's what you need to know. When I say that they're white supremacists, they are white supremacists. Regardless, I don't care how many black friends they have or co-workers they have. She just told you that to be white is what you're supposed to be, and it's the best. That makes her a white supremacist. Okay, so when she looks at you or any other race, she automatically sees you as less than her. So when you go into your mind and you want to defend, and I just ask and no one to put in their comments that not all white people are racist, because all white people are white supremacists, and in their mind they are the supreme race. They are what is good. They are the default. They are what is supposed to be. So that is what makes them a white supremacist.
Considering where Dakota grew up, you might be surprised to learn where he goes to school.
I decided to go to an historically black college.
And a historically black not just a school that's diverse.
Right. They're academics are really great. It was close to home, and so I could commute.
What did your friends say about this?
People were like, what, you really want to go there? Because, that's a black college, and you're not going to fit in.
If you teach your child about autonomy, they become independent from you.
The first few days here was very surreal. I found myself trying to count other white people, and I've never done anything like that before.
How did you all get to be friends?
We had a class together.
Like, I said to myself, I know we're going to be best friends. I'm glad that I wasn't shy, and I just went ahead and started talking to him.
What did you think when you first saw Dakota?
He's so cute. Right.
Making me bashful.
So you're going to meet, for the first time, Dakota's friends from school.
Can't wait.
What has Dakota told you about his hometown?
Just that he has friends there.
We all have things in common. I just feel like a lot of times race will put a barrier in introducing groups of friends because you don't want somebody to say something offensive.
It's going to be interesting, but I think it's going to be fun.
Zoe.
Hey.
This is Miranda.
Hey, Brittany.
And this is Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Look at you guys wearing cheetah friends.
Please don't think because a white person introduces themselves and hugs you and is nice that they will go back and be like, why do you have these N-words and you're hanging out with them? And they still are the same white supremacist mentality. They're not the same. So for us, if we're hugging someone, then we totally and genuinely like that person, are being warm. We're not having nasty thoughts, but that is not the same with the albanoid race. It is absolutely not. I've been there. I've been around tons of white people. I've worked with them, been friends with them, married to them. And that's why I can tell you how they think and how they feel, because I've been around them for as long as I've been born. And I don't want to say how old I am because, you never ask a lady her age. But, I have some years. I've been around them. I know how they act and how they think. And that little hug, not buying it.
Y'all try to match. There you go.
Why do you think it took this long for y'all to meet each other?
That's Dakota's problem, not mine.
Growing up in this area, how often do you think you guys talk about race?
Oh, no. Hardly ever.
We were talking about some friends that you had that's like, hey, if there was a black person walking down the street, you cross the street. You go the other way.
I would honestly say I've done that before.
You've done that.
But she just said they don't talk about race. And this is why I told you that they're liars. Did she not just say, oh, we don't talk about race? They do talk about race. They're racist all the time. And then she just admitted that, oh yeah, I do cross the street if I see a black person. Oh, but we don't talk about race. We're not racist here.
Before.
It was that bad part of you that thinks something bad. Would I do that now? Never.
She's
How about
lying.
you?
That was a
Stereotypes
lie.
that you have about white people.
Lay them out there, girl.
They're stuck up. They're all racist. They might be nice in your face, but behind your back, they're going to say something.
Yes. See, these girls, they understand. But I just, I'm nervous to watch the rest of this because I feel like they're going to be like, oh, but these white people were different. They're not different. They're never different.
What were you going to say, Dakota?
Well, I think people say, oh, black people can get ghetto real fast. Well, I can get ghetto real fast. Okay? And
This is something that I've always asked other people. What is ghetto? I don't understand. What is ghetto? I know, but that's not.
I mean, it's on TV. Somebody says ghetto every 5 seconds if you turn on Housewives.
I know, I understand.
That's how I
definition
use
of it. I hate that word.
Why do you hate that word?
Because it's not.
No.
Please don't, because I'm going to start crying.
No. Give me a hug.
No, it's fine. It's just, that's not something that people would see on the outside. It bothers me. The word ghetto
for me, when I was younger, it was used in a negative way. It was derogatory, like you're ghetto because I'm Black, not because of where I'm from. It wasn't about where I was, it was who I was.
You know, isn't it amazing the power of these words?
Because words hurt. Think about it. Put yourself in other people's shoes before you say something.
I completely agree.
That would be lovely, but there's like, it's completely impossible for evil albanoids to put themselves in anybody else's shoes, because they are psychopathic and sociopathic, and they completely lack empathy. And you have to have empathy to put yourself in other people's shoes. And that's why I don't understand, like, it seems like for some reason, for hundreds of years, we've been waiting for the white supremacist terrorists to sit down and say, okay, well, this is wrong, and you know, we're tired of hurting people, and we're tired of keeping Black people down so that we can maintain our white supremacist stance, that, you know, they're not going to get there, and they can mimic empathy and mimic feeling sad and even cry, but it's not real. It's not how we feel. It's not how if we see someone hurting. I hate seeing people cry, because it seriously makes me feel so sad for her, and genuinely sad. But there's a difference between mimicking feeling sad, which is a sociopath's trait, and that's what they do. They can mimic feeling sad or empathetic towards Black people, but mostly they don't even do that. A lot of them can't even pretend that they feel empathy towards Black people and the things that we've been through and the things that they've done. They usually, if you ask them, they'll say that no, they don't feel bad about slavery. That doesn't have anything to do with them. And no, they don't feel bad about Black people living in impoverished areas and neighborhoods, even though they're literally the direct reason to why that there's poverty in Black communities, and that the schools are bad, and that there's drugs on the streets. Even though they are the direct reason, they still do not feel any empathy because of it. I'm gonna try to skip through some of this video.
Here are white. Like, how does that work out?
It can be a little weird whenever you first meet them.
I'm gonna go back.
Should be coming up for lunch.
Oh, okay, great. Every single one of the 260 students here is Native American, but most of their teachers are white. All right, guys, this is Jose. Hi.
All right. I grew up in San Diego.
And I just want to say on this one with the schools, we really need to recognize this, because I went to the school in my son's neighborhood, and I always go in the summer, like right before they open, to check out the schools. And I went into the school, and it was very diverse, which I loved. I was happy that it was diverse. There was a lot of Blacks and Mexicans and Asians and Indians and Africans, and just very diverse. But then I walked to the office, and I always go look at the faculty. Well, when I looked at the faculty board, there was only white people. That's it. There were no other race but white people. And then I look all the way down, and there's a little picture of the janitor that's Black. So that is a problem. That is psychologically damaging to children when they have to see this. And the school board knows that it's psychologically damaging. And the principals know that. They've all taken basic psychology. And that stuff is done purposely because they can control your mind that way. That's why in these schools, they use these schools as camps to control your mind. They're controlling what your kids learn, and they're training your children to be white supremacists. And the thing is, people, I know that makes you cringe to think that your 5-year-old and your 6-year-old have the mindset of a white supremacist, but they've shown psychological testing. I showed on one of them where they're showing a 4-year-old a black doll and a white doll and asking them which one's good, which one's bad. Your kids are not born thinking that the white doll was prettier and that the white doll was smarter. When they go to preschool and when they go to school and Head Start, that's when they're taught. When they look around their room and all their teachers are white, that's teaching them white supremacy. When they read all the books and the brown people are bad and the white people are good, you really have to go into your schools and go into the kids' libraries and see what they're teaching your kids, and never put your kids in a school where the staff is white, where all the staff is white. That's horrible. It's teaching your kids that authority is white, and your love should be to white people, and your nourishers are white, and the only person that's black is the janitor, no one of authority. So you have to really make sure there's a balance. And I know it's really hard in a lot of these neighborhoods. You're assigned to a school by zip code, which I think is horrible, and you need to realize that's done on purpose too, because they want to make sure that all the money is allocated to the white schools and not the black schools, and they also want to make sure that you don't have access to that. So my suggestion is to not let them force you. If you find a neighborhood that you like, get into that neighborhood. I don't believe in I can't do something. I don't believe in it. I believe in I make it happen, and that's what you have to do. You really have to work hard to make that happen. Whether you have to sacrifice, buying clothes or not, obviously you have to have some clothes, but I mean, I will shop at Goodwill. I will shop at Value Village. I will, really sacrifice some things to make sure that your kids live in a better school district, and then you have to go make sure that school is diverse, not just students, but teachers and faculty and principals and all of that stuff. We need, this is going to be a whole different thing, but we really need to start getting, learning about the government and getting into writing our congressmen and stuff like that to get things changed. If you want to go to a certain school, fight it and get into that school. And I don't mean fight it physically, but we're very smart mentally, and we need to just realize that and not let ourselves get intimidated by white supremacy, because that's what it's going to take. We can't be intimidated anymore.
Predominantly white where I was raised, and this is definitely a different environment to be wearing this color skin.
So what I want you to do at this point is I want you to pull out your journal. I grew up in West Fargo in North Dakota. It's a very white town.
How did your parents talk to you about race?
It just wasn't really something that was discussed like it is here.
I'm wondering, all the students are natives, right? A lot of the teachers here are white. Like, how does that work out?
It can be a little weird whenever you first meet them, because they're outsiders. And along the way, it's like they become a part of the school, and they become part of our family here.
What was the moment that you realized that you were quote unquote white? Yeah, in this place, instantaneously.
I think I think some of it walking in to the store, they have these small convenience. Walking into the store for the first time, and you're like, wait, I'm the only white person in here. I never had to, I've never felt that.
I've never felt like I was treated badly because of that.
Yeah, more of just
curiosity. What does it mean to be white in an Indian reservation? We've never had to internalize what white people have done in America, but here, you can't escape that. Wanblee is near Wounded Knee, South Dakota, the site of one of America's darkest days. Simply put, in 1890.
I'm just skipping that because we know what white people did.
Christians are usually about 40% more likely.
And to me, there is no way that albanoids should be accepted on an Indian reservation. I don't get that. I don't understand it. You've already shown that you can't be trusted. You've shown exactly what you will do. So it's like we have these warnings already. History is a warning. History is really something that we can look at and say, okay, when we did this, these people did this, okay? We allow them to come into our space, our area, our country, our, you know, homes, and they spread diseases, they killed, they raped, they committed genocide. We know that. We know what to expect of you. So these are our safeguards that we're going to build. And we, for some reason, we haven't gotten there yet. Native Americans haven't gotten there. Asians haven't gotten there. And it's like Pearl Harbor, did you forget about that? But as I said, Asians are some of the biggest white supremacists there are, but none of these races of people, none of us have built have put up any safeguards. We haven't. We still haven't. We still let white supremacy roam free and to be all up in our personal spaces. The fact that they're in Africa and the fact that they had, you know, whites only in South Africa, it's ridiculous. It's like we're really not internalizing what they've done. We need to let our brains soak it up in a way that doesn't destroy us, because it certainly, watching videos and stuff and reading and seeing some of the grotesque, atrocious, so anti any kind of God that there could ever be. We've seen that they've done this stuff, and it's hard, but we have to take it and turn it around and build safeguards for ourselves. And some, they should not be accepted in some spaces. And I don't understand how you could justify allowing albanoids on Indian Reserve and to teach Native American children. This stuff boggles my mind.
Than students of color to actually receive that type of aid. 40% more likely. That's correct. This surprised me. It turns out that even though 62% of undergraduate college students are white, they get 69% of private scholarships.
More than that.
On the other hand, minority students make up 38% of the undergraduate population, but get only 31% of private scholarships. So despite all we've heard about white students being at a disadvantage, they're actually disproportionately getting more scholarships.
And the thing is, they know that, and that's how they want it to be. They just don't want you to get any. They're fine with them getting, you know, 69%, but then why are you getting some? Like, that's what they don't understand. They don't get why you get any.
So what do I tell to white students? Yes. Well, you know, I spoke to this young white student, yes, who feels that she is at a disadvantage. You're not at a disadvantage. It's just you're simply not. Everybody in the situation, especially.
He needs to say you're not at a disadvantage, you're delusional. And that's one thing we really need to realize, that these evil albanoids are delusional. That is one huge thing. We need to put that in our knowledge bank and just keep it there. The delusion runs very, very deep. I've had people say, well, Black people go to school for free. I mean, you guys have affirmative action. You guys have that, what is that called? The something Negro College Fund, and we get free college. So they don't understand why we're not highly educated, and there's no excuse for us to not have jobs. Why am I 40 grand in debt if we get free college? None of my sisters have gotten free college. You don't get free college because you're Black. But in the delusional mindset of the evil albanoids, we get free college, and they're victims, and this is reverse racism. And even her who felt like, oh, if a Black person gets you know, a scholarship, then she feels like it's taken away from her. Realize who these people are.
Especially as it pertains to paying for college. Everybody is struggling right now. She's not going to want to hear that.
Of course not. They don't want to hear the truth. That's the
So
thing.
there's a lot of white students who feel that because they're white, the scholarships may not be available to them. But if you actually looked at the facts, if you are white, you are more than 40% likely to get a scholarship than if you're not white. So I'm curious, how do you then explain this feeling that white students feel that they're at a disadvantage?
Maybe because they just expected to get all the scholarships.
Any minority group, if they get a scholarship, I feel like straight white men feel like something is being taken away from them because they don't get it.
I've never had a problem finding a scholarship.
What do you say to somebody like that?
Google?
Right? But then you wouldn't hear them saying, "Oh, black people are soaking up all the on benefits," and because you'll realize that more white people are on benefits, and then they would have to stop saying, "Well, black people are criminals," because when you look at FBI and crime data, it tells you that 80% of the pedophilia, child molestation is in the white community. Some 70% of the drugs are actually white people. So they don't want to know the truth, because like she just said, Google, so easy, and there's still going to be white supremacist terrorists trolling this video, and they're going to put in stupid stuff like black people commit all these crimes, even though I'm saying Google it. Like, it's not that hard to find the information. They have the information. They don't care. They want to feel like victims. They want to feel like you're doing something to them so that they can justify the evilness that they're doing to you.
I'm Jose.
I'm Michael. Michael, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, man.
So this real feeling that Katie and many other young white Americans have, right? That I can't get the financial aid or the scholarship money that I should be able to get or I deserve to get because I happen to be white. Would you agree with that? That that's a disadvantage?
Oh yeah, because two girls that we know, one white and one's Filipino. They both applied for like the same scholarship, and the Filipino one got it, and the other one didn't. The white girl didn't.
Even though she wasn't as qualified. I think that there might be other factors involved too. I mean, maybe she's Filipino, but that might not be why she got in. The reasons that people get scholarships are not always clear, and I think if you wanted to inquire why, you would have to ask people who gave the scholarship.
I think this is where I have to kind of give you some facts, right? Around 21 million people apply for financial aid. About 76% of all institutional merit-based scholarships go to white students. And if you're a white student, you're 40% more likely to get a scholarship than if you were a person of color. Are you surprised by the numbers?
Yes, I'm very surprised. Because the way Katie was making it sound like, oh, I'm being penalized, and that made me think like, oh, maybe like they are kind of directly aiming it towards the minorities, but with those numbers, obviously they're not. Okay, now I'm like the victim.
Why did you say that, by the way? You said that, like you're making me out to be a victim.
I mean, I know, I
They're always the victim. See, it came right out of her mouth, and this is why I think it's good for us to watch stuff like this and to engage and be around white people, because then you'll see the stuff that we're saying is true. When we're saying these things about white supremacy and white supremacist terrorism, and these evil albanoids feeling like they're victims, she feels like the victim. What?
I don't want to come off like that to you guys.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, I know. I mean, it's, like, cause, you were, like, you seem to be understanding, but then when the numbers came around. When the numbers, it did kind of change my view a little bit. I feel like you guys are attacking me now.
I know where
opinions are opinions.
I'm
not saying.
On that note, I'm going to end this video. Again, I will leave the link in the description box so that you can finish it. We have only gotten halfway through. So definitely might want to go ahead and finish watching that. But as you saw, somehow pointing out the truth that 40%, that white people are 40% more likely to get a scholarship somehow made her the victim, and now she feels like you're attacking her. What did I say? So if white people wanted to know the truth about Black people and about other races of people, the truth is out there. The truth is right there in their faces. They choose to ignore the truth, and they choose to not do any investigation on any of the you know, of the racist thoughts that pop in their head, because they're fine with it, because they like white supremacy. And that's what we have to get. All white people enjoy white supremacy. All of them. 100% of white people enjoy white supremacy. So don't in your mind think for 1 second that, oh, that there's some out there that don't enjoy white supremacy. Bull crap. They all enjoy it. They all enjoy it. They all know it exists. They all see it. They write it and they love it. So don't think that they don't. If you want to feel anything for them, you can feel pity. That's fine. Either way, the truth is what it is. The situation of white supremacist terrorism is what it is. It's there regardless of whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Okay, the information is out there for white people to educate themselves on what's going on. They don't want to. They don't care. They don't feel empathy for you. They don't care that, you know, that we have to deal with racism on a daily basis and discrimination on the daily basis, as long as they don't have to deal with it. And as long as you don't put it in their face. Or now the new term that they love to use is race baiting. I just can't. Like, there's always something new to tell Black people to just allow us to be white supremacist terrorists, and please just don't say anything. There's always something new. So now the new one's race baiting. Don't race bait me. And it's like, stop being a white supremacist terrorist, and then we won't need to talk about it. Because we don't want to talk about it. I know you guys don't want to sit there and think about being Black and dealing with the discrimination and dealing with the constant brutal attacks from white supremacist terrorist cops and other white supremacist terrorists. You don't want to sit there and know that your children are going to be harassed in stores and in school, and you don't want to think about that, and I don't want to think about that. But we don't have the privilege to not think about that. But if you make them think about one teeny little thing, they will just break down, and we need to realize that. And that's the whole psychological warfare. So that's why we need to learn their psyche, because war is in a lot of different parts, and psychological warfare has been used against us from the beginning of time, from way back in the beginning. That's the benefit of studying people. You know what their psyche is like. You know what will crumble them and what will bring them happiness and joy. And we need to know their psyche. And their psyche is very weak, and that's the thing. So if we know it, then you know, using it against them will be so very easily. So we really need to know it and understand it, and see that they don't want to not be white supremacists. They want to be white supremacists. They want you to not call them out on it or try to make them feel uncomfortable in any way in their white supremacy. That's all they want. So thank you for watching this video. Please share it as much as possible. Just click that little share button, click that like button. Please comment, subscribe. Also, if you guys see any news or videos or articles that you want me to discuss or share, just go ahead and leave it in the messaging little message box or in the comments. The comments are fine. I'll get them in the comments. So that will work too. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.